Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at onpurposely.com.
How old are your kids?
18, 19, 19,
Woo!
21, and 22.
Man.
Yes.
So I'm guessing when we were in the toddler and all that, that had to be crazy.
It really was. What my husband and I like to say is that we ruined them all at once. Nobody got a do-over parent. Like nobody. I told him, I was like, when you're going to go to therapy, everybody just pay one fee.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Snacks and Good Company, sponsored by Redemption Press. I'm Sherry Lynn, and my co-host, Jackie Nickel, is here.
Hi.
All right, so this is very exciting. So basically, not older, more seasoned moms talking to younger moms about the journey of motherhood, which is very exciting. You are a mom. Mm-hmm. I am not. Your mom. Tell me, kids.
Yeah, I have two kids, a girl and a boy, 7 and 4, and
Can you tell me why it was important to hear some wisdom from some older moms?
I just feel like I'm really in the thick of it right now, and I just love talking to mothers who have already been through it, who might give me some advice I might not have thought of otherwise.
Okay.
And I feel like I got way more out of this than just any other conversation.
I love that. So we do have wise moms that we will be talking to. And we have, not that our young moms are not wise, they are in their own way, but younger moms who, as you said, are in the thick of it. We had I guess, I hate saying roundtable discussion, but we had just like a discussion with like 6 moms, right?
Yep. 3 of my friends, Rachel, Noelle, and Chelsea.
Okay. And you were there.
Yep.
And then a friend of mine, Zuli, and she brought some friends who are also moms. And so it was just young moms with young kids talking about like the ups and downs of motherhood and some of the struggles you guys face.
Oh, yeah. It was totally fun to just relate to each other.
Yeah.
You know, like we're from different parts of the state, but we were able to come together and like relate on this thing. We could take away something from that mom, or, you know, it was just a lot of fun.
It was. And they all had their favorite snacks too.
Yes. We're all enjoying our favorite snacks.
All right. We'll talk more about why we call this Snacks and Good Company a little later. But I want to get to the moms talking together. I did an icebreaker that I found on the internet, so it must be good. So we started out that way so we could kind of get to know each other. So let's hop into it. All right, guys. I'm going to start with this. This is called the 5 types of moms. All right. Now, if you're listening to this on the podcast, I got this from The Bump. So if you don't like it, I don't know if it's a reputable place or not. I don't know what the criteria of any of this was. So if you are upset about it or offended, please contact thebump.com. All right. So, okay, what type of mom are you? And then we'll go around the table. You can just tell us which one and why. All right. First one is by the book mom. Looking at everybody's faces. All right. This is generally, but not always, a first-time mom. She knows the recommended amount of sleep, food, dirty diapers, and infant Tylenol a baby should have according to his age and weight. She knows exactly when the first teeth should appear and in what order. She can recognize cradle cap. What does that mean? Can somebody tell me what that means?
It's whenever your crusty looking.
Crusty.
It looks really dry.
Yeah.
Really
Yours
dry.
or the baby?
The baby.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, specify that.
I don't know. After you breastfeed it, you go and look in the mirror like, look at my head. Okay.
It's possible.
All right. This mom is a fount of useful knowledge, but also tends towards anxiety. So that's the by the book mom. The go with the flow mom. This mom is the polar opposite of the by the book mom. She is very attuned to her baby's needs, usually calm and unfazed by a little rash or unexplained crying or fit. She's laid back. Some say a little too laid back. Mom is good to have around as a reminder not to freak out. That's the go with the flow mom.
That's my mother-in-law.
That's your mother-in-law?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you like that about her?
I mean, I do, because I'm complete opposite.
You
so
just by the book mom?
Yeah, I'm a little bit by the book mom.
Okay.
Not at all go with the flow mom.
Okay.
No.
You don't go with no flow?
No.
Okay. All right.
She helps me
No flow.
go with the flow.
Y'all, okay. All right. So the martyr mom. This type of mom is very common. In fact, there's a little martyr mom in everyone. She always puts herself last, whether it's eating, sleeping, or even basic personal hygiene. I want to encourage y'all on the table. Don't do that. Her baby is always adorably dressed and clean, whereas she is usually rumpled, rushed, and guzzling lukewarm latte because she didn't have time to eat. She is never available for mom's night out, though, because she doesn't feel right asking anyone else to watch the baby. That's the martyr mom. The guilt-free mom, y'all ain't laughing no more. Some of y'all must be in there. The guilt-free mom, in sharp contrast to the martyr mom, is a rare breed. Guilt-free mom may travel for work, go on weekend getaways with friends, go to the gym regularly, has hobbies. She doesn't feel the least bit guilty because her very capable husband carries at least half the child raising and household load. When you ask this mom how she does it, she laughs and shrugs. I just do. You would hate this mom if she wasn't so nice. Okay, by the book, go with the flow, martyr or guilt-free. We will start. Jackie, you said you are you
I'm
still
the anxious by the book mom.
by the book mom?
I mean, I think I have a little bit of other parts of the mom in there,
but your major part
but I'm probably majorly like the
by the book.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, Chelsea.
So I'm probably go with the flow mom.
Yeah, she's the one we hate.
Really?
I would agree.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just pretty laid back and like, I don't know, like when my kids are playing outside, I feel like I can go inside for a couple minutes and it's okay. But I'm also a teacher, so I feel like at school, like there's a lot of flexibility. Like you need to have that as a teacher, and so I feel like I carry that into the house too at home.
That's why I try to hang out with you a lot.
Yes,
So
I
that-
agree.
I'll agree with that as well.
Okay, you guys try to hang out with her because you can pick up on her.
It's good.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
Go
good
with the
for us,
flowness.
yeah.
All right, good. All right, Zuli.
So I'm like literally half. I am the go with the flow mom. If we were doing like a disc mom test, then the go with the flow mom would be my dominant, but then my recessive one would definitely be by the book, because just to let you guys know, I have an unofficial but official in my mom nursing degree, but it's only for pediatric nursing.
Okay.
Because like literally the nurses, when something happens, I call them like, hey, what's going on? Like, oh yeah, I did all of that. Now what? So I know what's going, like, so I have things I do by the book, but I'm very much like, I don't know what time my kids go to sleep at night. So, that's
How
that.
old are your kids?
4 and 1. I'm like, hey guys, do you sleep? Okay.
We go to bed when we feel like it.
All right then. Lock the door.
That's the title of your mom book. All right then.
How many? You have 2 kids, right?
Yeah.
I do feel like the more kids you have, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I do feel like as you have more, you're a little more lenient, a little more go with the flow.
Okay. All right. Then let's go to Ryan then. Ryan, you have 4 kids.
I have 4 kids,
Okay.
ranging from age 8 to 9 months. So it's funny because as you were reading the different moms, I'm like, okay, yeah, I've been that mom.
Yep.
I've been that mom. I've been that mom. And I kind of rotate depending on the situation. With the first baby, I was definitely by the book. Like, I buy the book and don't tell me anything because I read the whole book 3 times. With the 4th child, I'm like, here, you can give this book to someone else. Like, I'm okay. He'll be fine. Just rub some dirt on it. We're good. We're good. So I think you
You fluctuate
Yeah.
beyond. Okay. Kara, you have 1 daughter, 13 years old.
Yes, I have 1 daughter. She's 13. I would say I'm going to go with the flow mom.
Okay.
Did you say that, Ryan?
Okay, you guys are friends. All right.
All right. Yeah, I think we're just making this up as we go along, and I'm just what happened? What was okay last week? It might be a little different next week, and tomorrow I don't know.
All right. We're writing the rule book as we
Yes,
go.
and we're in this thing together, and that's just it.
Okay. May I ask, are you a single mom?
Yes, I am single.
Okay. So I think a little more of that happens when my mother was a single mom. I mean, essentially, my father was there, but not really. So I think a lot of that is like, we're kind of in this thing together. I think that's how me and my brother felt with my mom.
Okay, we're going to cut in right there. We'll have more of this discussion
with this group of young moms that came together to talk about being in the thick of it. We're going to talk about anxiety and when it just feels like too much. But this list I had of different kinds of moms. Jackie, which one did you say you were again?
I said I was a mix of them, but I think I favor the by the book one.
Okay. And what book? Like, are you just always getting information, just trying to...
Like, I'm always reading books on, like basically how to be a mom.
Okay.
And when they were babies, I was always looking things up like, oh, does my kid have eczema? Does my child have, XYZ,
I'm sure you are not alone in that. Like,
no.
You already had that kind of, would you say you're a type A personality?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I can confidently say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I asked that because not only do we have wise moms coming into the studio, more seasoned moms, older moms, if you will, coming into the studio to talk to us. We also talk to moms on the phone, right? So called a few moms who, volunteered to give us some wisdom. And this mom, Heather is her name. She is like a by the book mom. And she said she's a type A personality. And I just love what she had to say about how she had to kind of let that go.
The freedom that I have found through these 22 years of parenting has come only through letting go of my pride in myself as a parent.
Oh, explain that.
Yeah. So I'm very type A, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Take a test, that type thing.
Yeah, no. I can relate. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to do things the right way. That has always been important to me. So I get to parenting, and then I had a plan. I was going to have these 3 kids spaced neatly apart. That
didn't quite work out.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right. God continually says, "Oh, Heather thinks she's in control of her life." So I would have a plan. Okay, now I'm going to learn how to parent toddlers and babies exactly right. And we're going to have first home obedience, and we're going to, all march through the grocery store just perfectly wonderfully.
Single file with the line leader in front.
File.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, right. Keep your hand on the cart, kid. This is what we do. This is how we are. We're going to sit in the church pew, that kind of thing. And goodness, it's just constant failure.
Can you relate to that?
Oh, yeah, totally. I think I was a little surprised when I heard that, too, because I'm like, wow, like that's how I feel now. At least once a day, I'm like, oh, my gosh, is that going to mess Mason or Reese up for the future? Or,
For the future, is it that, I hate to use this word, but again, have grace with me. Is it that apocalyptic, like that thing messed them up for life?
And again, maybe I don't think I am the only one that thinks this, but I think that's how most moms are constantly thinking about, the next step or 10 steps ahead or for their future. And they're just trying to make sure that whatever we do now
doesn't mess up.
Yeah. So I think it was very relatable when she said that. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that moms before us had always felt like that too. Whereas here, I think it's more of just
you and your personality.
Me. Yeah.
Okay. That's why we're doing this.
Yep.
When we come back, we are going to talk about anxiety. So the young moms around the table there with their snack are going to talk about when they feel the most anxious as a mom. And then also more about failure. And I know people were like, okay, enough about failure already. But from what I understand, if I'm hearing you correctly, and if I heard Heather there, this is a constant thing, feeling like you're failing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after hearing this, I'm just like, wow, I don't think I'm doing as bad as I thought I was.
That's what we wanted. Hopefully when you're listening, you feel that way too. We'll be back with more Snacks and Good Company.
Snacks and Good Company.
Let me ask you a question, friend. Do you have a book in you? Well, not literally in you, like in your brain. I bet you do. Like, have you ever been writing at the end of the night in your journal and then you look back at what you wrote and you're like, woo, that is a story to tell. Well, why not tell it? Seriously, why not? Redemption Press is here to help you not only find that story, but help you tell that story and then give you a community of support while you're on the journey. If you have ever felt like you wanted to write a book, and I know so many of you have felt that way, and you just don't know where to get started, Redemption Press will help you with that. They have a professional editorial staff. They're all believers. They're ministry-minded, supportive, trustworthy. Listen, reach out to Redemption Press. What do you have to lose? Find out how you can start telling your story right now. Your message is their mission. I love that. Check them out right now, redemptionpress.com. All right, I have to say this about motherhood. One of the things that, to me, makes you all just rock stars, and I mean, I'm not being facetious, I mean it, is the meals. Every day, they have to eat.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you have, your husband does stuff or whatever, but primarily, I'm thinking that falls on the mom. So if anyone's out there and we're like, you're falling into traditional gender role, okay, whatever. I'm just going to assume that that's on the mom. And if it's not in your relationship, to God be the glory.
Right.
So I'm thinking every day you have to think about, what are we eating today?
3 meals a day.
3 meals and snacks.
Yeah.
That's not a shameless promotion for this podcast, but snacks too, right?
Yeah.
So what is just...
I mean, there are days where I'm feeling super motivated. I'm like, oh yeah, healthy meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. Yeah, I got you.
Right.
And then there's days I'm just like, I don't even care. Just eat whatever. Because both of my kids are so different.
Uh-huh.
Like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a dinner they're both going to love.
Mm-hmm.
And I make it. And like the one's like, Mom, thanks. This is so great.
Yeah.
And then the other one's like, oh, what is that? That looks so gross. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
So what's the difference between the two of them? Is it?
I can't even tell you what.
They just don't like the same thing.
They don't like the same thing. They're just completely different. But
do you make two different meals?
I will. That's one thing I refuse to do is make. Right. I'm like, whatever I make is what you're eating.
That's right, Jack. Hold up. Give me a pound on that. Woo. That's old school mom stuff. That's my mom. I don't like chicken.
Mm-hmm.
To be sure, I never liked chicken. I ate chicken at least 3 to 4 times a week until I was 18. Because chicken is what's in this house. Yeah. And so if you're not eating that,
Yeah.
And then like once I got a job, like when I was 16 or whatever, I could get a little something on my own. But still, she expected us to be at family meals and you're going to eat what we're eating.
I bet you never complained though, did you?
I did not.
Yeah.
I did not. Now, I can hear everyone saying, but the child should have okay, got all of that. But I grew up, we were poor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we just did not have that opportunity or those advantages to say, oh, now here's Sherry's separate meal.
Mm-hmm.
That's so we were grateful to get the one meal that we had, right? So that, hey, we're all eating this.
Yeah.
Barring any, like I'm just hearing all of these bells and whistles in my head. Like, what if you were allergic? Okay, all of that. I turned out fine.
Right.
So everything's okay. I respect you saying
Thanks.
No, we're making this meal. We're eating this meal.
Yeah. I mean, it gets to the point where my son's just like, what if I make it myself? I want to make a sandwich instead of your spaghetti and meatballs or something like that. I'm like, no.
Okay.
What I'm making is what you're having. And you don't have to eat all of it.
Right.
You don't have to eat all, but I expect you to eat.
Oh, no, wait. There's another thing that came from you that I remember. A polite bite.
Oh, yeah. So they learned that actually in their daycare.
Okay.
When I was working full time, that they were taught that they need to take a polite bite because, they might sit at the table and look at it and say, ooh, that's gross, but they've never tried it.
Right.
And so they can't say that until they take a polite bite and give it a try. And most of the time when they take their polite bite, they're like, this is actually not that bad.
Yeah, I've started saying that to myself, actually. Because, I'm really regimented in what I eat. And when I say regimented in what I eat, you would think that would mean that I eat well, and it's not. Like, I'm regimented in eating whatever I eat, and that's not always great, right? And so when someone puts something new in front of me, I have said to myself,
wow,
let's have a polite bite.
Yeah.
Yes.
How's that worked for you then? And I definitely have respect for the moms that have like the whole meals planned out for the entire week. I gave that a go, and that was pretty easy. I can see why people stick to it. And then I'm just like, I really don't feel like cooking that. Chicken nuggets it is.
How long? How long did that last? You're trying to do the
Probably
meal?
like 2 or 3 weeks.
All right. There's your A for effort.
Yes.
Well done.
Yes.
How and where can you think anxiety shows itself as a mom of little kids or of kids overall?
All day.
All day.
Yeah, literally, I can sit down at night after everybody is in bed and breathe. Like, I feel like I'm holding my breath all throughout the day.
Really?
Just because mentally you're trying to make sure you're doing all the things, like all the people are where they need to be. Because as they get older, everybody has a different schedule. And I'm a stay-at-home mom too. So it's like, okay, I'm the household manager, but then I'm also a chauffeur, then I'm also a chef, then the housekeeper. So it's just a lot. So then by the time you sit down, you're like, okay, I can breathe. My mind can rest a little bit, but it never completely rests, because then you're thinking about the next day. So yeah,
and
it's a lot.
the next day and the next day. I knew there was a certain point where I was like, motherhood for you, Sherry, no. And I was okay with that. Like, I know that's like it's a cardinal sin to say that, especially in church culture. Like, well, you have to be married, you have to have a child. I knew that's not your path. And I was okay with it for this reason. I think the level of strength that I have strength in other areas, I do other things. The level of strength that you all have to have, I'm not sure. Just because I have a uterus don't mean I have that built into
The uterus is built in.
The uterus comes with the tears. I mean, that comes with the model. But the other stuff is, when you get a car and it's like, okay, you got power windows, but not necessarily the sunroof, right? So I didn't, whatever that was, I didn't have it, but I honor it, right? Because like you said, the next day is coming. Okay, anybody else on anxiety, Zuli? Yeah.
So my why, and I think we'd all agree, is just safety. Like, or the what, rather. The what is safety. Like, just constantly concerned about some aspect of their safety, whether it's, food, even spiritually, physically, constantly. It's like, okay, Lord, please don't let them, succumb to any violence in the school. Please keep away this. Please keep away predators in the school. Please, other students, everything is bam, bam, red alert. You know what I mean? So, and it's really hard to not see the world that way because, you get on your cell phone, couple, swipe left, swipe right, swipe up or down, and there's some type of violence affecting the community, or even if it's way across the country. Oh my gosh, this crazy thing happened, and you're like, okay, taking the day off of school. You know what I mean? It's and again, the why is, the when, it's constant. It's constant. So safety is definitely something that induces anxiety. So like every mom, no matter what faith they follow or regardless of whatever their background is, what they believe or don't believe, it's like we all have to have an anchor that keeps us from floating away into the land of worry, to the extent that you can't even be present for your kids because you're like engulfed in what may happen, and how that kind of happened. You do that, and then next thing you know, your kids are in prison, and then you're the one damaging them, right? Because they can't experience the world. So yeah,
very good.
Yeah,
who else? Anxiety.
Chelsea probably doesn't have any.
She's going to flow.
I honestly, like, I am trying to sit here thinking about like what causes me anxiety with my kids, and I guess if I think of anything, it may be health. I guess that goes along with safety a little bit. Like when they get sick, what is it? Because I don't know. I'm not a doctor. The closest thing I have is my sister. I always call. She's a nurse, and give her all the symptoms. Like, what is this? What could it be? Do I need to take her to the doctor? Like. And then how far is that going to go that it's going to affect them?
But every day you're not kind of living in an anxious kind of state. You're ashamed to say no.
Yeah. No.
Teach me.
So I grew up at a church camp. I just felt very sheltered from the world. Like, and everything where I was okay. I felt like we didn't have there wasn't a lot of fear. There wasn't a lot of uncertainties. Like everything was just fine. And so now that I'm like out in, a normal world, like I'm very naive about things or bad things happening.
Do you feel like that kind of, you see that as a mirror in your kids, like they're kind of fearless and they just go and do easily?
Yeah, I think I do.
That's beautiful though.
That is.
Yeah.
I mean, even when it comes to swimming, so Chelsea has a pool and we go to Chelsea's pool to swim. And I mean, she was a swimmer and strong swimmer, and her kids were all strong swimmers, and the little girls in the pool, no floaties on, just swimming around. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, like I am a lifeguard on duty and I'm not telling anybody about it. Like that's the anxiety. I'm like, her little girl is eating pretzels while like diving into the water, and I'm like, gosh, Lord help us.
I think all of us other moms were like this. You thinking what I'm thinking?
Just by the look. But I also think, like, I know, like, Noelle and I agreed on the type of mom, but I think, like, too, like, we are very similar, but we hold each other accountable in that regard. Like, if we know that each other is going off a little bit on the deep end, we definitely would we reel each other in.
Where anxiety is concerned?
Yes.
Okay.
And beyond anything.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I think accountability is super helpful, like as a mom. I call her Ryan, like sometimes, because again, she's more experienced than I am. But it's really helpful with regards to anxiety, because if you don't have someone to look out for you and say, hey, it's okay, they'll be okay, then again, you're in the deep end and it's really uncomfortable out there.
Yeah. Carol?
I'd have to agree with Ryan. Anytime she's not in my sight.
Your daughter.
Okay. Anytime she's not in my sight, I'm worried about, and it doesn't help that at this preteen stage, they're kind of goofy. And you're like,
kind of wide-eyed.
Yeah, they can't think like you want them to, or they just don't. I don't know if they can or they just don't. But it's like some things just don't make sense. Recently, she called me after school and she said, I missed the bus. And I said, but you're at school. And the bus is waiting for you.
So how did that happen?
I still don't know. And I was just like, I'm coming. That's all I can say. And it's just like those things. What happened? Where did your mind go that you didn't come out of the school and get on the bus? Right.
The same thing you do every day.
That you have been doing.
Right.
Because you're in 8th grade now. So this is not new.
Well,
so it's things like that. Will she think? And I know I get on her nerves. I'm always like, did you do this? Did you do that? Remember this? Remember that? Remember that? And I know she's like, all right, but it's like, you say all right, but I know as soon as I don't ask you, that's going to be the very thing you don't do.
That's the day you miss the bus.
Yeah, you don't get to say all right when you miss the bus in school.
Right.
Yeah, don't give me no smart mouth
like
with that.
Are you thinking, and it makes me think like, did I not teach her how to think? Did I not teach you how to use your cognitive skills and to, critical thinking and to figure something out? It's like, girl, if you were in a paper bag, you wouldn't be able to get out.
It is a hard balance though. Like, okay, how do I give them freedom to learn how to think and how to problem solve?
And then you want to just,
but then how do I still,
I'll just do it. Like, this is how you do it. But it's like, you want to see them do it, but it's like, you got to go this way. You're going this way. So
the reason why I love it is because all of you have very different perspectives. And I know people listening right now, we're in a culture right now that you all are very blessed, because here at the table, you probably can hear when you're listening, there are friendships here. People are friends with each other. Overall, our culture is very lonely and people are very isolated. And so that was one of the reasons why I thought this podcast was important, because you don't know, like when you say my 13-year-old walked outside and literally missed the bus where the bus was waiting, right? You don't know how many moms that happened to them, and then they don't have anyone to talk to. Yeah, and so they're like, my kid is all the things that you said. I must not be teaching them right. I must not. But sometimes it's just the way that is. And if you don't have community and you don't have wisdom around you, you actually don't know that. And I think that would induce anxiety. I would think, because you're by yourself and you just don't know what you don't know.
And you would internalize that, like, you know, oh my goodness, I didn't teach her how to come out of school and get on the bus. But I am thankful that I can tell that story to Ryan or Zuli, and we could get a good laugh out of it, because they know, like, you know, Kara, your daughter's just goofy sometimes, you know, and that's fine. You know, they all are. They all are. I'm sure you have looked at your children and said, "Wow."
Absolutely. Every day.
Wow. And not the good wow.
Right, yeah. That was the choice. That was the choice you made. Oh man. All right.
That actually is one of my favorite parts of that night we had, was the wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And there's some that we didn't actually put on the podcast of you guys talking about wow. If you want to text, no. Why don't you email me? Sherry@snacksandgoodcompany.com. Sherry@snacksandgoodcompany.com. If you have a moment where your child did something, you were like, wow.
Yeah.
Like you really had nothing else to say. You can't believe it. I'm sure my mom is feverishly typing right now to email me, about me. But if you have just like a real wow moment, and then please in the email, let me know if it's okay to share, or if it's just like, no, Sherry, this is just for you and Jackie to laugh
I cannot wait to read those.
Yes, please. If you're just like, you know what my kid did? Wow. Wow. Anyway, I want to get back to our callers. These are moms with adult children with such wisdom, and they're talking more about failure and feeling like a failure, because Jackie, hearing from you and then hearing from other young moms, it's such a common theme that I asked them, like, did you feel this way? I asked every mom that I had a chance to interview, did you feel this way when you're raising your kids? They're adults now, but did you feel like a failure? Every single one of them said yes, all of the time.
Which is crazy to me, too, because, like, I don't think a lot of people talk about it. I mean, because at least, moms my age, when you're scrolling on social media, it just looks like everyone else has it together. And you're just like, I don't think I'm doing enough.
Yeah, I haven't packed a picnic basket, and I'm not skipping through the meadows with my kids and they're all perfectly dressed and perfectly behaved.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
It's not realistic. And I mean, I'm glad I realize that now. It helps a little bit, but you can't help but think that sometimes.
But hearing older moms say, I felt like a failure all the time has to help. Or have they already got through it? That's even better, isn't it?
Yeah, they got through it. Their kids are alive. They're okay. And they're okay.
Everybody's alive. Everybody's okay.
Everybody's alive and everyone's okay.
Here's more from Leanne. She's talking about, she has 2 adult children, by the way. She's talking about why she thinks so many moms feel like a failure all the time.
Yeah, I think it's just that feeling of feeling responsible for another human being. And what kind of person is this child going to be? And as I've gotten older, I've learned more about myself, that had I known as a young mother, I like to think I would have been better at it, but maybe that's just part of motherhood.
That's what I was going to say, is maybe the answer is, because every mom I've talked to, same thing. The moms who have older kids say, yeah, I felt that too. Maybe that's just the feeling because you're in charge of humans. And that is an amazing responsibility. And maybe just feeling like you're failing is just the feeling, but you don't have to let that feeling rule you. Maybe that's it. Maybe you can just say this is a part of it.
You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, and also, I mean, maybe if somebody had told me that as a young mother, that all these other mothers feel like they're failing too, and this is normal. But we don't have that, and I'm sure it's even worse nowadays with social media.
That's why I'm doing the podcast, because I want moms to hear that you're not alone, right? Mm-hmm. And with social media, everyone looks perfect because we get to craft the life that we put in front of people, right? And no one sees the struggle. We just see the glossy pictures of you swinging a kid at the park, and you're like, oh, well, she has it all together. I'm failing. Where I want them to hear, no, this is actually life. This is how this feels.
If you care, if you really care how your kids are growing up, then you're probably always going to feel that way.
All right, so that's Leanne talking about how feeling like a failure as a mom is basically normal, but it doesn't have to take over your life and take over your thought patterns. And probably the biggest thing is take over your emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's refreshing to hear that perspective of it.
Okay. Here's another. I'm sorry. Did you have something?
Nope. Go ahead.
No. Okay. See how this podcast is. So it's so not scripted. We're talking over each other. All right. Christine, I had a chance to talk to her as well about. I asked every older mother that I talked to, how do you feel, or did you feel, or do you remember feeling like a failure?
Looking forward to hearing this one.
I don't know if you ever get out of that feeling when you're a mom.
Of the feeling of failure.
You know? Yeah, because even like my daughters, they're 19, they'll be 20 next year. They're twins. I still feel like when they ask me questions, I'm still like, Lord, did I do that right? Did I answer that right? Is that what you wanted me to tell them? So I think sometimes we just want to be so wonderful and amazing for them, and we know our own flaws. So I think that we're extra hard on ourselves, and our kids don't know that, but they think, oh, that's great, my mom's wonderful, or she's smart. But you know your own insecurities, you know your own struggles, and I think that is always going to be there. I mean, that's kind of how I feel even at 19. It's just like a whole new set of things.
So it's always going to be, because you're always going to be their mom.
Yeah.
I love that. Coming up next, we are going to ask, when did it just feel like too much? As a mom, we're going back to our young moms and the quote unquote round table filled with snacks. When was it too much? And you're like, I can't do this anymore. And they have some very, very interesting answers that I think you will be able to relate to. We'll be back with more Snacks and Good Company. Welcome back to Snacks and Good Company. I am Sherry Lynn and Jackie Nickel is here. All right, so we're going back to the young moms who have wisdom in their own right. And I just asked this question. Did you answer it? We'll listen. This is the question. Well, we'll
find out.
I'm going to throw it to myself. So let me ask you this. When is the last time you felt like, and can you think of like a specific example or the time, like a specific example of the time where you're like, this is too much?
Thrown in the towel.
I don't know what the towel looks like, and you throw it in. I don't know what but
your question was how many times a day?
No.
The last time today.
Were you okay? Can you give me where or when, or is it just random? Where that feels like this is just way too much. I just think that if it were me, I'd feel like that every single moment of every single day. Mm-hmm. But that's certainly encouraging for those of you who are listening right now. I'd be overwhelmed every day. And how do you do it? All right, Jackie, I'm gonna start with you.
I think it's usually when my kids are fighting and I can't and in the moment I'm just like trying all these different things to, you figure, like I took Tammy's advice the one time, or the past few times, I'm like, you figure it out or I will. And like sometimes they do, and then I'm like, all right, that's cool. And then other times I'm just like, I can't even stand it. I need to separate you guys, and I think everyone needs a break. And like those are the times where I'm just like, how am I gonna get through the rest of the day? Like, are they gonna keep doing this? But yeah,
everyone seems to relate to that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. When the kids are fighting. How often are fights breaking out, y'all? Y'all kids out here fighting all the time? No kids at battle?
All the time. Yeah.
Really?
All the time lately. I mean,
what are the ages?
4 and 6, and they're both boys.
Oh.
And Holden, my youngest, is very bossy. He's going through a very bossy phase. So he's always trying to boss his older brother around. And it drives all of us insane. He tries to boss us around all the time too, like me and my husband. It's, yeah. But they fight constantly. And I'm just trying to I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I think it was 2 mornings ago. I think I texted you. And I was like, oh, it was just a wonderful morning of just constant fighting before school. It was just like 2 hours of them being awake, and it was constant. And I was like, what is going on? I'm like, you need to go to your separate rooms and play by yourselves. And they just ended up like back like together over and over. I'm like, I don't even know. I don't even know what to do.
I know. I've heard some people were like, if they can't get along, then they just put them in a room together. I'm like, I'm kind of scared to do that. Yeah.
Well, look what happened to me the last time I put my kids in their room and what they did.
Oh yeah, tell it, Rachel.
Tell the story, Rachel. We're here for you.
They were fighting and they were just going at it, and I said, go to your separate rooms. You got to have some time, like 15 minutes. I'm like, Alexa, set the timer for 15 minutes. And they always say, Alexa, how much more time do I have on my timer? Well, they didn't say that. And it was like 10 minutes later. And I'm like, man, they're really quiet. And I'm sitting in the living room like, this is kind of nice. Just a few minutes of just peace. And all of a sudden, I see both of my children running through the front yard of the house. And I'm like, now what in the world? How did that? Right? How'd they get out? They snuck out of their windows. They got together, and Levi came over and probably said, you know what? We are piecing out of this place.
But they weren't together.
They weren't together. They
were fighting.
Right. So and they snuck out and they were gone.
Yeah. You did it.
So the best part is when the neighbor was watching me chase them through the yard then. And she's just like, what is happening?
Free entertainment.
All right. That is such a funny story. I remember she told us that. Actually, I think we were eating hibachi somewhere or something.
Yes.
And she told us that story. That's your friend Rachel.
Yeah, that's Rachel.
Your kids same age or around the same age?
We went through pregnancies and all that stuff together. So yeah, it's so funny when I hear her tell stories like that because my view of them, of her kids, they're just so sweet, so nice, so polite.
You don't see jailbreaks.
I don't see jailbreaks. Not at all.
All right. Well, we're actually almost at the end of our podcast. Does it feel like that already? Our first episode anyway.
No, I didn't even realize that was close to the end already.
It goes so fast. But before we end it, I asked the moms that we called if they had one piece of advice to give you guys, all you guys that were sitting at that table, what would it be? Man, this is so good.
Let's hear it.
When you think about it, sometimes you'll think, oh my gosh, that was so stupid that I did that when they did that. And my kid won't even remember. But it was so big to me because, you just got to move on and to the next day, and mercies are new. Do you love them? Then you're doing just fine. And mean that from the depths of my heart. And I really, if I had 5 more seconds, I would say, I think it was an Elizabeth Elliot book that I read at some point, whatever, but her thing, do the next thing.
Yeah.
That was real. That was so real to me in that time.
Yeah.
And it seems just whatever, so basic.
All right, so mercies are new every morning. Just get up and try it again. And then do the next thing.
Yes.
How does that resonate with you?
I take from that is like, you just don't hold on to the things or the mistakes that you might have made in that moment. Like, forgive yourself.
Are you a person that holds on to stuff?
Oh yeah. I'll go to bed that night and be like, oh, I could have done this differently. I could have said that differently. But one of the callers that said that they're not always going to remember those things, which is also a relief to me because I kind of hope they don't.
You're like, Lord, please.
Lord, please don't let them remember that. And that just loving them is enough. If you are capable of showing that every day, then they are getting exactly what they need.
I love what this caller says here.
You spend far more time on your knees when your children are adults than when they are children.
Oh, wow.
Because you have no control and they won't listen to you, even though you have wonderful things to say. But I can just praise God every day that they all love Jesus, that it was a struggle getting there.
So what you're saying to young moms is these, even though it feels hard, these are actually the good years.
These are the great years. And I am so envious now that mothers have phones to take these pictures and do these videos. And we have all these wonderful memories of funny stuff that their kids do and places that you go. We didn't have that.
Get the memories. Keep the memories. These are the good years.
You are so blessed.
Do you feel that? Like, even through the stress and the anxiety and the failure, do you feel like not only these are the good years, but they're going so quickly?
Yeah, I'm so aware of it that I just feel...
Because your babies are what, 5 and 7?
5 and 7, and like I'm... I don't know if mourning's the the correct word to use, but you're mourning the baby years, the toddler years, because you know they're over. And I think I'm just so hyper aware of that I'm like trying to make the best out of this time that I have with them.
That has to be so difficult to have that kind of duality of this is the thick of it and it's so hard, but why is it going so fast? Why are they growing up so fast? Like, it's all of that together.
Yeah.
See, it's the most important job in the world. I've said that before. I'll say it again. I stand by it. If you don't like that, Sherry at snacksandgoodcompany.com. Momming is the most difficult job and the most rewarding job.
Yes, most rewarding, the most fun, and the hardest thing all at the same time.
And the most stressful all
and
together.
The most stressful, yeah.
All right. The name of this is Snacks and Good Company. We have not talked about that at all. The reason why I named this Snacks and Good Company is because those are my two favorite things in the world. In fact, I'm going to start asking callers what are their favorite snacks, and then we'll come back and say ours, okay?
Yep.
Oh, it depends on the day. Okay, if I'm not counting calories or anything.
No calories. Calories don't count.
It's a Snickers.
Snickers.
I love me a Snickers and beer nuts.
Okay.
Those are my two favorite things.
So if your husband came home and handed you a Snickers, you'd be like, this is my man.
I am that way, and he does that occasionally. Yep, he's a keeper.
Yep. See, and the reason why is the title of the podcast, or the name of the podcast, is Snacks and Good Company. And everyone was like, what does that mean? And I was like, those are my two favorite things in the world. Is if I have my favorite snack and I'm in good company. Yes. And like, we're just talking and I am eating this popcorn. My life feels so full and rich in that moment. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to.
That's a perfect picture. My favorite snack is absolutely popcorn.
Popcorn. Like, so any kind of popcorn. Do you make it? Do you buy it?
We make it.
We make it. Is that a thing? Like, we have to make our own popcorn?
Listen, because buying microwave popcorn for 5 children, not economical. Absolutely.
So what's the process?
Oh, yeah, we have a giant popcorn pot. Actually, now that they're moving out, that is their first Christmas present after they move out. They get their own popcorn pop and popcorn oil. And, yeah, so we just make this giant pot of it right on the stove like the old-fashioned days. Just call me Laura Ingalls. No. I'm telling you.
I don't remember Laura Ingalls making pot. Okay, so their favorite snack is popcorn like mine. I don't know if Laura Ingalls was popping popcorn. I've never seen that episode, but it may have happened. But popcorn is my favorite snack as well. And yours?
Oh my gosh, I feel
like you're we should tell people you're like a health person. Like, you're healthy snacks,
yeah,
healthy stuff. You're a fitness person. And
yes.
Yeah. Okay. All of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not a person to sit back and have 2 bags of chips.
No.
1 bag of chips.
Chips aren't my thing. But if I'm going to indulge in something, it's usually like a chocolate chip cookie.
Chip cookie.
Yeah, but it has to be the one. It's not one of the crunchy ones. Like, don't waste my time with that. It's one of those like really big, like crispy on the outside. I don't know, crispy, but like chewy and ooey gooey in the middle.
Okay, so it's specificity of a chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah,
the edges are crispy and the inside is gooey.
Yes, that and like chocolate covered nuts or pretzels.
Okay, if you have that, and then like just the people you love the most.
Yeah.
Talking
I'm living
about
life.
Crazy stuff. Yeah. That's when I said Snacks and Good Company. The reason why I wanted to name it that, it was less about the snacks and more about the feeling you get when you have snacks and good company. Like, just that. I wanted that open, honest.
No judgment.
Unguarded.
Yes.
No walls up.
Yeah.
Who has a wall up when you're eating a ooey gooey chocolate chip cookie?
Yeah.
Nobody. All right. Next episode, guys, is going to be amazing. I feel like this episode was amazing.
It was so fun.
The next one, though, is Tammy Hamilton. She is a mom of 8 adult children, all of them homeschooled, all of them amazing. And she actually was the catalyst for this podcast. And we will talk to her about that in the next episode. And here's a little clip of Tammy.
I really want my kids to talk to me and tell me what's going on, what they're hearing, what the voices in their head are saying to them, so that I can say, that's not true. No, that's not true. Mm-hmm. That's not God's voice. That's not how Daddy and I feel. And try to, get them back on the track of What is God saying and what is God's plan?
All right, that's going to be a lot of fun.
It's
we
so
learn
good.
Learn a lot from Tammy.
Yes, so good.
All right, so we're going to talk to Tammy. If you enjoyed this podcast, we sure hope that you did. Please subscribe. We would love for you to do that. And also share it with a mom that you know, maybe a mom who is lonely or feeling isolated or needs some wisdom or needs some affirmation in her love of snacks. We're here to provide all of that. Please share this podcast. Also, you can rate us. That helps a lot when you give a rating, a nice one. And we thank you for that. Ratings, comments, subscribe, share, all of that helps. This is presented by Purposely. It is produced by yours truly, Sherry Lynn. Sound design by Lauren Tone Kirkland. Music by Matt Mason of Mason Haven Music. Art design by Notoria Marketing. Social media by Chanessa Scholler Multimedia. Photography by James Brunson. And we recorded the majority of this podcast in the Christian FM studios in sunny Vero Beach, Florida. Thank you so much for joining us, friends. We'll see you next time.
Let it sink like company.